Welcome back to Bombastic Nation and Thing. Another video coming your way, another relaxation time and all that. This time I'll make it kind of educational and thing. I always wonder about civilizations that have disappeared, and not the usual civilizations that we talk about all the time, because there's a lot of lesser civilizations that probably vanished over the years that nobody really talk about. But I don't know what vibe this is going to be, but let's get educated. And while we do that, let's YouTube and simmer. Let's get into it.
Throughout history, we've seen the rise and fall of many different civilizations, which has shaped the world and geopolitical stage as we know it. From the ancient Greeks to modern-day ethnic groups, these civilizations have molded and changed over the passage of time. Not all civilizations got such a chance, though, and here are 5 civilizations that simply disappeared. But before we really jump into today's video, I just wanted to pop in and let you guys know that this is our 1000th video, and I want to make sure all of you guys know how much we appreciate you tuning in for the last 6 years. I've personally only been with the channel since about 2017, but you guys have always proven your dedication to the channel, and we couldn't be more excited to continue uploading for you guys. We've made some major changes over the last few years and definitely experienced our fair share of mistakes, but you guys have always been willing to work with us to overcome the difficult times. Honestly, we couldn't be happier to have each and every one of you guys on our side. But with that, let's get on with the video. But seriously, thank you guys. Number 5. Çatalhöyük holds the record as being the world's oldest town, located in modern-day Turkey. The civilization first sprung up around 6500 BC. While it's not as big as some of the civilizations on our list, Çatalhöyük was home to 6,000 people who lived in simple mud brick houses. These houses were very basic and featured no doors, no windows, no glass, and were accessed by a hatch in the roof. Moreover, to walk between houses and businesses, residents would have to walk on the roofs, which acted like streets and footpaths. Due to the houses being so close together, the community was extremely tight-knit and relied on each other for food and trade. They decorated their walls with murals and paintings of people, animals, and possibly religious figures. They even buried their dead inside of their houses underneath the floors to ensure that their relatives would remain close to them even in death. The people of Çatalhöyük depended on hunting and farming for their survival, mainly growing wheat and barley and keeping livestock such as sheep and cows, and hunting down wild animals for pelts and a surplus of food. The city was doing very well, and residents were self-sufficient, with everyone having access to food, water, and beautiful clothing and jewelry. And around 5000 BC, though, Çatalhöyük was suddenly abandoned, and no one knows why. No one even knew the site existed until 1958, when archaeologist James Mellert, who worked with Cambridge University, rediscovered it. Ever since then, teams of experts have been working to crack the mystery. Many think that climate change or adverse weather patterns could have caused its abandonment. Others suspect invasion, but either way, we have no proof to back up either of these, and these remain simply as theories. Located in what we know now as modern-day St. Louis, Missouri, Cahokia people settled there around 1200 years ago, springing from indigenous tribes in Mexico. They chose this settlement as the American Southeast and Midwest provided them with arable fertile lands to grow their corn. Sometime around 1100 AD, Cahokia saw a boom in population and quickly became the largest Mesoamerican city that was outside of Mexico. Before this time, Cahokia had a very small population of around 2,000 people, but the boom saw it increase to an estimated 40,000.
Wow.
If that estimate is correct, it makes it more populated than London and England at that time. But the paradise of Cahokia wasn't to last, and by 1200 AD, the civilization saw a rapid decline. The main problems faced by the people was keeping an adequate flow of food and managing water supplies. Due to sheer volume of people that lived there, the water supplies soon became polluted with waste and made many citizens very ill. Many historians have disputed the reason why the Cahokian settlement was abandoned. Speculation does point towards invasion. However, this settlement was created 1,000 years before Europeans first landed on the Americas, so historians turn to other possibilities. One of these is that the Cahokians inadvertently caused their own demise by overhunting, overfishing, and taking too many resources from the land without replenishing them. Another theory was that devastating weather patterns, such as floods and even possible ice ages, made the Cahokians abandon their home. Disease also plays a factor in this, as Cahokia was a hub of trading activity, and it saw a lot of footfall from people all around the world, especially from the US and Mexico, thus increasing the possibility of new diseases being introduced. Today, the area is known as the Cahokia Mounds State Historic Site and is listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, one of only 21 in the US. It also stakes the claim as the largest archaeological site in the world, spanning over 2,200 acres.
See, we ain't learning from this kind of stuff. Civilizations disappear for a reason. You know what I mean? Overpopulation is one thing. Of course, there is a modern time to look back as the reasons why that is happening, but still, you know what I mean? That's kind of a natural thing to happen. And now we're doing it to the whole world. Overpopulation, you know, resources dwindling, water issues, and I bet they also had refuse issues too, like garbage and stuff like that. You know, I wonder why they didn't spread out instead of just disappearing. That could be a point of study there, I guess.
Number 3. Eric the Red from Iceland set out on an expedition in the 10th century to conquer new lands, as the Vikings are so famously known for doing. Within the voyage, 3 groups subsequently branched off into 3 different settlements: Eastern, Western, and Middle. These Vikings relied on livestock and hunting as well as trade to sustain their lifestyle. They even exported walrus ivory, which was in large demand in Central Europe. These trading abilities really set the Vikings apart on the world stage. They'd conquered a lot of different countries in Europe, cementing their influence on European culture for centuries to come. The Vikings of Greenland had established a great settlement for themselves in Greenland, and despite the harsh weather conditions, their small villages were thriving, and it seemed like this would be sustainable for many years to come. That was until all of these colonies simply dropped off the face of the earth. Archaeologists estimate that it happened sometime between 1360 and 1460, but 100 years is a large discrepancy in time, and it's possible that this estimate isn't even close to the truth. Like with the Cahokia people, many experts believe that the Little Ice Age was responsible for the demise of the Vikings in Greenland. When the settlements first established, the weather was good and spurred on Eric the Red to take action, but as time passed, weather patterns changed, and extreme cold weather set in. It's been suggested that the extreme cold could have either killed the settlers, as they were nowhere near as prepared as the native Greenlanders for such weather, or that Eric the Red rallied his Vikings and ran back to his native Iceland as fast as he could, both of which are completely possible. Experts do offer up other ideas, however, and they speculate that, like many civilizations on the list, they overfarmed and overfished the lands until it was uninhabitable.
We tend to do
Without
that.
land, a source of food and trade, the Vikings would have been forced back to their native lands in order to preserve their numbers. At the time of the Greenland Vikings disappearing, the Black Death was also making its way across Europe, causing widespread devastation. The Black Death claimed 50 million victims within the 14th century, which was 60% of Europe's entire population. It's also been offered up that the native people of Greenland fought against the Viking invasion, and although at first they weren't successful, in the end, clashes between the 2 groups caused the Vikings to leave. Due to the fact that there isn't one solid explanation as to why the Vikings of Greenland disappeared, we can only speculate that an amalgamation of reasons is behind their departure.
See, talk about the Black Plague there. I wonder who started that. I wonder if people back then says, the plague is coming. It's a hoax. Wipe out 50 million. 50 million.
Number 2. Across the American Southwest, the Anasazi prevailed as strong settlers with large cities that were being built underneath overhanging cliffs to protect them from the elements. Unlike many civilizations mentioned on this list, the Anasazi actively took weather into account and built their society accordingly, giving them the best chance of survival. The word Anasazi in context refers to ancient ones or ancient outsiders. The word in Navajo means ancient enemies, which is where their name most likely came from. Despite being seen as outsiders or enemies, the Anasazi thrived and lived off the lands. They took advantage of the low rainfall and grew lots of high-yield crops, meaning they would have a surplus of food year-round. Despite clearly thriving in their settlement, the Anasazi were to be no more by the end of the 13th century, when they disappeared off the face of the earth. Archaeologists don't know what happened specifically, but they do know that something cataclysmic happened to force the Anasazi out. It's one of the greatest mysteries faced by modern-day archaeologists, with no physical documents existing, and they rely on the oral history of their ancestors, which remain closely guarded secrets, even until this day. Speculation from experts states that the demise of the Anasazi people most likely came from a violent event, possibly a war within the civilization itself. There are even talks of cannibalism and horrendous crimes against humanity, but we're still no closer to understanding why any of this happened. Perhaps tensions with the Navajo or other native tribes boiled over and caused a war, or the Anasazis were fighting amongst themselves in a power struggle. It seemed that we might never know the truth as to why the Anasazi civilization simply disappeared.
Fighting among themselves with a power struggle. Ancient times to now.
Number 1. The Olmec lived in what is now modern-day Mexico in the states of Tabasco and Veracruz. The name Olmec is an Aztec word meaning the rubber people. They were so named as they traded rubber throughout Mexico and America. They're one of the first major civilizations to appear in Mexico, and were around from 1600 BCE to 350 BCE. As their name suggests, they harnessed the rubber tree, and from that, converted the latex into a product that could be used. The Olmecs are even credited with creating the Mesoamerican ball game that was played using solid balls of rubber. They also carved large stone heads as tributes to their gods, leaders, and deities, and are seen as a major influence on the Mesoamerican civilizations that came after them, such as the Maya and Incas. Like the civilizations that came after them, the Olmecs were master traders and used a lot of jade, obsidian, volcanic rock, and rubber to set them apart from others on the world stage. Due to their large successes in trading, the Olmecs were able to build large urban hubs which played host to ceremonies and activities for the higher-ups within society. So what went wrong for the mighty Olmecs? They had a large civilization that spanned over many, many years and seemed to be technically advanced and built a very nice society for themselves. One theory suggests that over time, the rivers they relied on for water became silted up due to the population and overused them, thus causing a mass water shortage, which in the end posed tragedy for the Olmecs. The other theory is that the volcanic activity in the area caused the Olmecs to either move somewhere else or face being wiped out. Since there's little to no documented history about the Olmec people, it's hard to get to the bottom of what really happened to them. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to...
Okay, I'm gonna stop that right there. I mean, I like watching these things, and I'll tell you why I like watching these things, man. Because we don't do nothing new. Everything we do, it's already been done. I mean, technology and stuff is better, but we don't know if that technology existed back then. I'm not getting all crazy with it, but you know, and we keep using everything and we're not replenishing everything. You know, it's like the body itself. If you keep taking the blood out, sooner or later, if you don't replenish it, you're gonna die. It's just like you get cut, you bleed out, you die. Unless somebody take you to the hospital and they pump some more into you. I think Mother Nature works the same way. If we keep taking and not replenishing, sooner or later, stuff will start dying. In a way, that's why we have deserts. You know what I mean? That's why we have a lot of unexplained things going on with Mother Nature and all of that. You know what I mean? Same thing with like pandemics and plagues. This stuff's been going on for years. You know, I wonder if back in ancient times, I think they always blame the gods for it happening and stuff like that. But we have gotten so egotistical that we blaming man for stuff that Mother Nature is probably putting forth on us for taking stuff and not replenishing. Anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox and thing. I hope this was a little bit educational for you and thing, you know, because I ain't gonna just do all the bloopers and the ghost stories and how horrible human beings are, because, you know, what the past is a book for us to learn from, you know. Now, think about it. Years from now, our civilization is going to look back at us and looking at doing YouTube and all of that and think how archaic that stuff is, because they probably walk into the movies and take, you know what I mean? They don't just sit in a theater and watch the movies. They're probably right there in the action somehow, you know, with holograms or something. You never know. But the thing I wonder if the cultures are going to change so much that it would be like, oh, that's all they did. Like, you know, you look at all the videos of girls bopping and twerking and all of that. Maybe they're doing crazier stuff then, or maybe there might be a society that don't do stuff like that. We don't know, but it's a cool thing to think about. You know what I mean? If you think of the world as a world with different cultures and things to learn from it, then we probably wouldn't have all this fighting going on for the resources that we are depleting at an alarming rate all year, an alarming rate and thing. Anyway, I'm gonna stop there. Hope you guys enjoy this one. I'll leave the description. I'll leave the link for this in the description in the bottom, and also subscribe, hit the notification button so that you can know when I'm putting up new videos, because I'm gonna keep pumping them out. I'm gonna keep pumping them out because, you know, with the pandemic going on and some people at home, maybe you could check it out. You know what I mean? And then learn some stuff or laugh at some stuff. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'm gonna go, and remember, make life cool run-ins.